Good afternoon, YouTube family. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. If this is your first time here stopping at Raffield's Refuge, we welcome you. No matter what part of the world you are from, you are always welcome at Raffield's Refuge. Today we are going to package some flour for long-term storage use. Let me bring you into the storage room and show you something real quick. In one of these 5-gallon buckets last year, I think it was around in October-ish, November, we stored 30 pounds of all-purpose flour in a 5-gallon food-grade bucket, and we put a large oxygen absorber in there, and Leon sealed it up. So this has been in there since then last year. I'm going to open it up around Christmas to kind of see how it's doing. And then I'm going to seal it back up and go from there. And I'll explain to you why. Today I'm going to be packaging self-rising flour. I have 2 5-pound bags of self-rising flour that I'm going to be packaging to store up. These bags right here have been in the icebox for about a month, okay? I've been putting it off, but I really need to get them packaged. Self-rising flour can be stored up to 2 years or longer. I'm just going to go ahead and say 2 years because you always want to rotate out your product. The difference between the self-rising flour and the all-purpose flour, most of you know that the all-purpose flour has no rising agents in it. You can always add baking powder and baking soda to all-purpose flour in order to have your product rise and the determinant how much you want it to rise, okay, according to the recipe. So all-purpose flour doesn't really lose anything. With the self-rising flour, if you store it for 2 years or longer, you take it out and then you realize that it's not effective anymore, you can use the baking soda and the baking powder and reactivate your self-rising flour. That's the good thing about storing this for long periods. All right, so let's get started. The main thing that you want to make sure is that oxygen and light does not get to your flour, because your flour has little bitty eggs in it, like microscopic eggs. You'll never notice it until, if you do not store your flour properly, you'll go in there one day and find little weevils in it. Side note, the same goes for rice. You see this container right here? I store my rice in this container. It is a plastic clear container, and I put my rice in this Mylar bag, and I keep it contained that way. Then I put the lid on it, and I close it real tight. Storing your product on your counter in your kitchen, if you do not use all-purpose flour often, those little glass containers are not airtight, and you 9 times out of 10 have light in your kitchen all day long. Okay, if you're not going to use it that often, it needs to be stored in a dark, cool place, and oxygen can be your enemy. So oxygen and light can be your worst enemy, and moisture. So whatever you store, if you are stocking up like you should be now, and you go buy multiple bags of self-rising flour or all-purpose flour, put it in the icebox for a couple weeks. If you go and buy self-rising flour or all-purpose flour and you put it in your icebox for a couple weeks or your freezer for however long, I've had mine in there for a couple months. If you go to package it in Mylar bags or jars or however you decide that you want to do it, you want to make sure your product sits on the counter at room temperature and becomes at room temperature before you store it up in anything. Because it will, as anything thaws out or cools out, it will gather moisture. Or if you just want to go ahead and store it right when you get home, you can do that. You just have to make sure that your flour is at room temperature, okay? The room temperature in your house. So if you plan on storing it and packaging it right when it comes from the store, just leave it on your counter for a couple of days and then go from there. Because when you put the oxygen absorber in that Mylar bag, it's going to completely take the oxygen out. The Mylar bag is not going to allow any light to come through, and then you can stick it in your cabinet. I'm going to be storing these in Mylar bags. Storing it this way in Mylar bags, you can store it up to absolutely 2 years. I feel safe and confident that it can be stored for 2 years as well. The only thing is, the agents that's in here to cause this to rise is going to falter a little bit. If you want to store your flour in a jar and you want to seal it with your vacuum sealer and this little thing right here, you can do that. The only thing is you need to make sure this is in a very dark cabinet. And for long-term storage, I would not put it in a clear jar. Okay, you can do that if you're frequently using it. But if you want to store some up and have it just in case of a crisis where you couldn't go get any more, I would store it in a Mylar bag or something dark. Put it in Mylar bags and then put it in a 5-gallon bucket. You can do it that way. Also, one of our subscribers said that they put bay leaves in their flour. So I did see that on the internet. So that is another way you can do it. Put your flour in the freezer, put your flour in the ice box, but just to be sure no moisture gets to it, you want to take all of the oxygen out of it. So if you want to go this route, I have these quart-size Mylar bags. These are the ones that have the zipper seal, okay? And I have 50 packet CCs, and then I have 300 packet CCs. You can put 150 packet CC in the quart-size bag, or you can do one 300 cc. Always, when you open up your oxygen absorbers, you immediately put them into a jar, because as soon as they hit the air, they're going to start activating. All right. Now that I have my oxygen absorbers, my 50 cc's in a jar, you can use your vacuum sealer to seal up these type bags if you want. Put your flour in this bag. These sealable bags, like a Ziploc bag, you can do it that way. To be extra sure, you can use your hot iron is what I'm going to do. Your vacuum sealer will seal these bags. They will not completely seal my large Mylar bags. They will seal these bags. But I think using a hot iron is going to be quicker. I've done it before, and it just gets the job done a lot quicker. And if you're a prepper and you're stocking up, you just need to get the job done. Okay, we have so many preps to do at times, especially if we're going out buying food, that you want to find the quickest way. So you're going to fill your Mylar bag up, and trust me, even on camera, it can tend to get a little bit messy in here while I'm filming. But I'm going to try to make the least mess as possible. Fill it all the way to the tippy top. You want to leave enough room where your oxygen absorber is going to take the air out, okay? You see, I have this much in it. So whenever I open this all-purpose flour, it really determines the size family. You can use gallon-size bags. It just determines on how much flour that you use at a time. For Leon and I, stored it in a quart size is good enough for us, because when I open it, I can immediately put this whole thing in my glass jar on the counter, and I know it's going to be safe until I get around to using it. And the ones that I put in the cabinet, they're going to be safe. If I don't use them for 2 years, they're still going to be safe. All right. So now that I have my bag filled, I'm going to CC right on top. I'm going to take as much air out of this as I can by hand. I like you do a Ziploc bag. There we go. The oxygen absorber is going to take the rest of the air out. And the oxygen absorber is going to take the oxygen out to where nothing can live. If there's no way that oxygen can get to your food, then nothing can grow. After that, I'm going to seal it with my hot iron. So here we go. Do you see the seal? It only takes a second, you guys. Okay? This bag right here is totally sealed. Okay? The oxygen absorber is going to take the rest of the air out, and it's going to be safe. You're going to just label it. All-purpose flour and the date. Put it in your cabinet in a dark, cool place, and it's going to be safe. All right? I'm going to do the rest of my flour. I'm not going to show the whole process, but I just want to put another little side note in here. You can store anything in your ball jars when it comes to in a powder form, and there is a process that goes along with that, with the paper towel on top and everything. I have a video out showing you how I store cornmeal in a jar. And with any product, you want to always do the look, the smell, before you use your product, okay? Okay, I'm trying to think of it, if there's anything else I want to tell you. I do want to say this. I'm going to show you how you can store these beans in an upcoming video. I want to talk about 2 other things. When you have a storage area, you don't want your storage area to be hot, steaming hot one day, like 100 degrees, and then cold the next day. Hot the next day, cold out next day. I wouldn't, personally. I know if you had to, you just have to do what you have to do. Store my products like in a shed. Okay, where in the summertime it gets 100 degrees. In the wintertime it gets 20 or below. Here it's gotten like 10 degrees before. You just want to keep your temperature as if like it's a cellar. Our extra pantry in there, we cut off the heater in the wintertime. We'll open the door. It stays at a certain temperature in there. Now, I don't have a thermometer in there, and I'm not going up in there calculating the temperature. I just know that it is a cool, you know, completely cool all year round. And that's how you want to store your food. You don't want your canned goods to get hot, steaming hot, and then freezing cold. Steaming hot and then freezing cold. I hope you understand what I'm talking about. All right, so let's talk about the giveaway. I do realize that we have hit, I think, over 1,000 subscribers. I am so excited. I thank the Lord first and foremost, and I thank you guys, because if it wasn't for you, we would not have over 1,000 subscribers. So yes, the 1,000 subscriber giveaway is coming up soon. Leon is going to be gone for 7 days. When he gets back, we have to go out of town. We are going to visit my family for the weekend. After that, we will go live. I will give you instructions between now and then. I will give you instructions between now and the time that we do the giveaway. I will give complete instructions just like I did the last time. I am so happy. I love you guys. You are my YouTube family. I appreciate each and every one of you. We pray for you every day, constantly as a group. I pray for individuals. If God lays it upon my heart to pray for certain people individually, I will do that. And just know that we care about you. It is not all about the number. We care about you. And we thank you so much for loving and caring about us. God bless you. Have a good night. And I will see you on the next video. Bye, guys.